Hi, welcome to Ohm. My name is Erin. I am the owner and operator of Ohm Old Orchard. I am the founder of Yoga Underground. Yoga Underground was created in 2017 to be a network of people and places that invited people like you into meaningful experiences on their mat, in their bodies, and in community. Um, this all started back when I was 20 years old. I had crippling anxiety, and I called my dad one night, who's a spiritual guy, spiritual teacher, and I said, "How does this work? I'm praying for peace, praying for peace, praying for peace, and it's not happening." And he said, praying isn't like emailing customer service and expecting a response in 3 business days. You always have the peace you need the moment you need it. And so this started what has now been over 20 years of studying the spirit and what are referred to as the fruits of the spirit. And I started to really ask myself, if you always have peace, and that's a yoga teaching as well, in Sutra, it talks about a peace that is absolutely not anything anybody can destroy, and it's always within you, a glowing light. Um, then what are emotions? Our emotions maybe instead of something to like get through, deal with, medicate. Maybe the way that we feel is a way to orient us spiritually and in our emotional lives. So I started to do these little workshops on your emotional wellness, and in doing so, was led into a yoga practice. So I was about late 20s, early 30s when I started practicing yoga. I'll be 44 this year. And in that, I started to become really curious about yoga philosophy. I play the trombone, although not recently. And one Easter morning, I was in church warming up for Easter, actually, in a brass quartet. And I said something about waking up your prana. And Pastor Sanchez said, the Hebrew word for that is ruach. And my mind was blown. I never thought about looking for intersections and parallels between Hebrew and Sanskrit. And so I immediately signed up for yoga teacher training. And in yoga teacher training, I was just in love with the sutras. And ultimately, flash forward to 2023. I had been a teacher for about 6 or 7 years at that point. I consider myself a stillness teacher. I taught a restorative yoga retreat, and somebody wrote me a note afterwards thanking me for teaching them a stillness they've never known. Everything I do is about being honest about how and who you are in the moment, and asking yourself first and foremost, what does my body need? Yoga Sutra teaches that you're not the body. You care for the body, you clean the body, okay? You observe the body and you respond to, is it hot? Is it cold? Is it hungry? Is it thirsty? So I knew in that moment when she's wrote me that note that my life's work was about getting people into these experiences where they really were coming into a friendship and a partnership with their body and breath, not just because they need to relax, right? Like that's everywhere. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows life is busy and it's overstimulating and we scroll and like, yeah, of course. But at some point, restoration isn't just about downshifting your nervous system, it's about aligning you with your intuitive yes. And it's about reconnecting, restoring that deep sense of peace that is always within you. So I was immediately getting to work on a business plan for a yoga studio. I didn't know how long it was going to take me. I was going to start with kind of a little mobile option. And I was scrolling Facebook and I saw an announcement, new yoga studio in Webster Groves. And I felt sick to my stomach. As a Webster local, I knew that something, whatever I was going to do, I wanted to be in the heart of Webster. And I really struggled seeing that somebody got to it first. Um, but then I remembered, and you should remember this too. Breathing, rest, movement, wellness, security, comfort. These are human needs. And there are a lot of people out there. So I came to the studio to support my new local studio, and I took a class, and the previous owner gave me a tour and showed me this middle room. And she said, "Yeah, this is for rent." And without hesitation, I said, "I'll move in tomorrow." And so I will share a picture here on the website, in my About Me, about what that room looked like when I first started to work on my project and create a stillness movement. And in 2 months' time, she phoned me up and said, "Hey, I think I was in the right place at the right time so that you could have a studio, make me an offer." And in February of 2024, I made an offer. And March 1st of 2024, I was officially the owner operator of Ohm Old Orchard. But here's the thing. I didn't want to run a yoga studio the way I had seen it run. I had been in the industry for long enough that I was like myself really tired of the use it or lose it. I personally like my Audible subscription where I might not listen to a new audiobook for months, but then I go on a road trip and I'm interested in a specific, genre, or I'm heard about a good book, or I want to study something, and I'll just binge and download a bunch of books, and that kind of marks an era or a chapter in my life and my wellness. I also saw that the average unlimited person goes to a studio like 6 times a month. Okay, sometimes they go a lot more, don't get me wrong, and sometimes a lot less. Like I saw people who were subscribers who didn't go for like a year. And so I wanted to address that because I personally, as a consumer, feel pressure. Oh, you know, like if I don't use it, I'm going to lose it, and I need to rush and I need to jam pack my schedule. And I wanted to relieve that. I also wanted to make sure that if people fell in love with the place, the space, the practice, that it was easy for them to bring their people in. I wanted shareability. I wanted it to be an absolutely no-brainer. Come with me to my place that I call home. Um, and last but not least, I wanted people to be able to just enjoy their life. And though for sure, having a yoga practice can truly be foundational to enjoyment. You're with like-minded people, your body feels good, you're releasing stress, you're increasing your ability to be flexible and open-minded, and you're breathing and you're learning. Um, but I wanted to give people more than yoga. And so with all of these things in mind, I created a credit-based studio. And it's really not complicated, guys. Think of it, yeah, like Audible. Think of it like, in a way, I want to say like Dave and Buster's, but I haven't thought that through. But we run on credits. So a class is 1 credit, and a lab or a special event or a workshop is 2 credits. And we do premium events, which might include sound, or it might include multiple providers, or it might include something to eat. It might include a little gift. It might include like several features that work together to create a bigger experience. I call them home fireworks in my personal notes. I put a little firework. Those are 5 credits. And we have day retreats. I mean, my whole original idea was to give you guys more opportunities to retreat. So we do build your own retreat days here where I stack the programming with free stuff and 1 credit stuff and 2 credit stuff and 5 credit stuff and free stuff again. And I'm in this awesome location where there's like restaurants and shops and places to go and sit. So I wanted to give you guys the ability to be like, you know what? I need a day. And you can come here and you can dwell here. But then also, let's get out of town. So we have a partnerships with a couple great retreat centers and 10 credits. You can come retreat with us for a day. And last but not least, the weekend retreat, the 2 nights, 25 credits. Now listen, I understand subscriptions are not for everybody. And that was another thing I wanted to be considerate of. So you can do everything I just said a la carte. $25 for a class, a credit's 25 bucks. And then once you get into that 10 credit, 25 credit, we have retreat passes that you can buy. But if you want a deal on yoga, you want the convenience of having the credits at the ready, you want to maybe like start a self-care layaway plan, you can subscribe to credits like Audible. And for $15 a month, you can start what I call a regular mind body practice. And what that means, because you don't lose what you don't use, it rolls over for a year, $15 on the first of the month, and you get a credit. And maybe you come that month, and that would be awesome. Or maybe you don't because you're sick, or you're traveling, or life is busy, or somebody died, or you're in the hospital, which I know is all really dark, but it's real. And you can still have a regular mind body practice because your credit will roll over, the dawn will break. The next month you'll have 2 credits. Bingo bango, there's a full body rollout myofascial release workshop. You have 2 credits. You save 20 bucks. It's there when you need it. Maybe it rolls over for a few more months. And that same workshop rolls around, but now you have enough to invite a friend. Hey, let's go grab lunch at the annex and then do this rollout. Last but not least, you could also not, and I don't want this to happen, but in theory, you could subscribe to that regular mind body practice, and your regular mind body practice might look like a day retreat a year. That could be regular for you. If you know you want to start seeing your life shift, I'm not going to play around with you. You do need to be intentional about that. Nothing like really breaks through in life. I mean, I say this, it's an absolute, but I feel like I've had enough conversations. Guys, I talk to people every day about kids, marriage, work, creativity, emotional pain, emotional abuse, spiritual safety, feeling faithful. What is the purpose? What's up with this world? What do we do? Can we recycle more? Like I talk about it all with all of you. But I do feel pretty confident in saying that without an intention, without an I am statement, without taking that step to do a similar thing consistently, you're really not going to see the change. I'm really being thoughtful about how I'm saying this because that intention, and this is why I really think this, the intention raises your awareness. And then with commitment, you can really transform your life. Anyway, so we do have subscriptions that are more credits a month, $65 for 5 credits and $127 for 12. Anything you don't use rolls over, and you can enjoy those because you know you're gonna get here once a month, maybe twice, but definitely intentionally. So a regular weekly practice, taking advantage of our mini retreats, doing a day retreat once a season, like that kind of intentionality to really be a part of the community. The last thing I want to say is that everything I'm doing here is based on my observations of the world and my desire to make it a little different. I want to make the way that you feel going to a yoga studio different than rushing, rushing, rushing. Am I dressed right? Am I doing this right? Am I old enough? Am I young enough? Am I fit enough? Like all of the things that we think as we maneuver through the world that really are just based on like absolutely invisible beliefs. They aren't real. And so everything I'm doing here at OM is meant to strip that away and let's see, without all of the rules, that without all the ways that business and studios have always run, without all the ways that you are supposed to be marketed, without all the everything, what are we? And it's been a year, and what I have noticed is that it has organically grown into this thriving community that I could not have predicted. And why? Why did something shift that big? Why did something blossom in my life? Because I started with a regular practice. I brought intention to it, and I wholeheartedly committed to making it happen. So, no matter where you are in your readiness, the most important thing is your willingness. So, come on, your first class is on the house. We'll talk you through the rest. Thank you so much for watching this. Share it, like it, subscribe, but more than anything, enjoy your life because you only get it once.